This video was recorded live before a canned studio audience. It's Friday Night Movie Reviews, and here they are, Chris and Keith.
Hi.
Hey.
Thank you very much. I'm Keith.
I'm Chris.
And this is Friday Night Movie Reviews. Thank you for joining us tonight. We have a review for you of a movie that has been out for quite some time. So this is not a Friday Night Movie Review. This is a Friday Night, what would this be?
Rental review. Yeah.
Rental review. There you go. So the movie that we're going to be reviewing tonight, we have kind of a theme going. If you watched the video that we just dropped a little bit ago, then you know that we went and saw the movie The Crow, and it is a revenge movie, and that's what the movie that we are going to review right now is, also a revenge movie.
And without realizing it, this movie, John Wick, actually has a connection to The Crow.
Right.
The guy that directed this movie, Chad Stahelski, he actually was Brendan Lee's stunt double in the 1994 movie The Crow.
Right. So we are reviewing John Wick, starring Keanu Reeves. Now, if you know Keanu Reeves from before, you know that he was in The Matrix.
Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventures.
But before that, he was in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventures, which is very surprising if you were a fan of those films, because you never thought Keanu Reeves, well, he was also in Point Break.
He was in Point Break.
But you never thought that Keanu Reeves would be like an action star.
Whoa.
Speed. He was in Speed.
He was in Parenthood. Yeah.
I don't remember him being in Parenthood.
He was the boyfriend of Dana Weist's daughter in the movie, and he gave the speech about like how you have to have licenses to do certain things.
Right.
And
okay.
But you don't have to be a license to be a parent, basically.
So
yeah.
The only real thing that I ever remember Keanu Reeves doing is being the goofy teenager from Bill and Ted. So it was kind of surprising to me to see him in action movies, especially in an extremely mature action movie like John Wick. Now, if you don't know the basic premise of John Wick, basically what happens is John Wick is an assassin. He's a member of this assassin group, this big assassin group, and they take the organization takes contracts out, and these assassins go and try to be I guess it's kind of like a competition with them. They try to be the first one to accomplish and to complete this contract so that they can get the money.
What it is, this film slowly shows you the beginning of that. They don't
Right.
show you everything about like the Continental and everything. They kind of just open that door for the later sequels of this. But basically, he is retired from being an assassin. He fell in love. He got married, but she got sick. I believe she had cancer. I believe
I rewatched the movie today.
Okay.
She had some kind of disease. They never really went into what it was that she had, at least not in this one. But it was some disease, and obviously they knew about it, including John Wick, knew about it before they got together and before they fell in love. So very, very tragic, because they're out on a date one night and she falls out. He catches her and helps her to the ground, and then the next scene you see them in the hospital, and she's hooked up to all kinds of life support, and he looks over at the doctor and nods at the doctor, and the doctor goes and turns the life support off, and she dies. So he's fallen in love with her, and then she passes away. So he's devastated.
Yep.
Devastated. But then there's a ring at the doorbell.
Yep, and he's got a dog. I mean,
and
it's a cute little beagle.
He has to sign for this package, and it's a little dog kennel, and inside is a puppy, and there's a note. And basically what it is, the note says that she knows that he needed someone to love, and they knew that this was going to happen to her. So she planned ahead to get this dog so that he could grieve, and so that he could have something else to love, but something that would remind him of her. And she told him, because the car doesn't count.
Yep. And see, it was beautiful. He had, sweet little puppy he has, and it was the last little gesture that she did for him.
Right.
And
so he's out. He's out taking some of his frustrations out by driving around on this airport runway, and he's headed home, and he stops to get gas. And when he stops to get gas, there are these Russian cartel guys there, and they're young punks, and they come up, and one of them starts talking to him and asking him, hey, what kind of car is this? And it's a Mustang, right? 1969, 1970. So they start talking about his car and size of engine that it has in it. And then the Russian guy asks him, so how much is it? He says, it's not for sale. Or in my best count, it's not for sale. So he tells the guy that it's not for sale.
And this isn't the type of guy that takes no for an answer.
Right.
He's used to getting what he wants all the time, and
because his dad's super rich.
Oh yeah, he's a daddy's boy, spoiled through and through, and they're like a tracksuit mafia kind of people. So this kind of tell you where this is going.
Right. So later on that night, they show up at the guy's house. They show up at John Wick's house. Now, they don't know for some reason, these little punks don't know who John Wick actually is. And I think it's because he's been retired for 4 years.
Yeah.
So they don't really know who he is. But I guess they follow him home.
They do,
something like that.
Yeah.
And later that night, they break into his house, and they end up stealing his car. But one of the things that they do, they beat him up really bad because they catch him in bed, and he gets up in the dark and kind of walks around to see what's going on because the dog's barking. And they kill the dog.
They kill that sweet, innocent puppy, little beagle. And it just breaks your heart. You can see it in his face. This was like some of the best acting you've seen Keanu Reeves do, and you could just tell that he is just crushed, devastated, and you can see that the pure rage forming in the back of his mind. You could just go ahead and already see it, and you know what's about to happen.
And so what ends up happening is he ends up going on a revenge spree because the dog was his way to grieve.
Yeah, it was him.
And the dude took that away from him.
Yeah, that was his representation of the woman he loved.
And they stole his car. So they stole his car and they killed his dog. And the whole movie, the whole entire premise of the movie
is about that dog.
Is revenge. Is revenge on this guy and his friends because they killed his dog and stole his car. Now, here's the thing that you have to understand about John Wick. In this organization, he is extremely well known. Extremely well known. One of the most popular lines in the movie is the Russian dad tells the son, "I once saw him kill 3 men in a bar with a pencil."
And that will come back in the sequel.
A pencil! And so he is well known, and he asks his son, "Do you know what we call John Wick? We call him Baba Yaga." And the son is like, "Why? Because he's the boogeyman?" "No, because he's the one you get to kill, the boogeyman." So John Wick is BA.
Oh yeah, he basically became a living urban legend.
Right, a living urban legend. And this guy, he can kick some tail. Let me tell you what. So That's the basic premise of the movie. He is getting revenge on on these guys. I call them kids, but they're not really kids. They're young adults, like probably in their late 20s.
Yeah,
late
easily.
20s, and he gets his revenge on these guys. Number one, because they're pretty much they I don't really know what to call. I want to be nice, but they're total butt heads. I mean, they just
they're the classic meathead villains, you know, that the action stars just make their way through. I mean, that's really what they are.
These are the guys that when you're watching those movies where it has the dude in it, the villain that's in it, that's a complete D-bag, you're just like, man, I hope he really gets it.
And see by making
these guys really get it.
And see, by making them like that, that's the reason why when John Wick makes his way through them, you're cheering him on through all this carnage and violence. Now, to break it down, obviously, this is not a family-friendly movie.
No, it's not.
This is one, if you're going to put it in the Blu-ray player or finding on streaming, which I think on streaming right now, it's only on Peacock, so unless you have Peacock.
I actually watched it on Pluto.
Really? Okay.
On Pluto TV. It had commercials, but hey, you know, it was free.
It was free, yeah.
But
I'm not subscribed to Peacock.
A lot of violence in this movie. A lot of profanity in this movie as well. There's not really any adult situations in this movie because they kind of stay away from it. But there are club scenes where they do have like people dancing, and they're not nude or anything like that.
There's some provocative dancing.
Provocative dancing. There's a scene in a pool with some with this guy, this punk guy and his friends and some other ladies in there, but none of them are nude. So there's no like adult situations like that, but it is a lot of violence. There's some drug use, some alcohol use, a lot of violence, a lot of profanity, but it's not senseless violence like we were talking about with the movie The Crow.
This movie, the violence is for a purpose. Like he is there to take these people out. These aren't good people either. This is not like somebody just made a mistake or anything like that. These were bad people.
Right.
So he's not just killing for killing's sake. Like there actually is a purpose. Like all these people need to be dead.
It's very action packed.
Yes.
There are some comedic moments in it, but it's like dark comedy.
Yeah, it's the break
they're
up
not
the
telling
brevity,
jokes. You know, it's not like a stand up kind of thing, but there is some comedy. There's the whole romance thing between Keanu Reeves and his girlfriend there. I think they ended up getting married actually.
They did.
I think they were married. So there's the romance there between those two, and that gives the movie strength. That gives the movie some foundation as to the reason why he did what he did. Besides they stole his car and killed his dog.
You know, I basically equate this is basically the Marvel of equivalent to The Punisher.
Right.
If you need more of like a comic book base, if you come from that background where it's you need a reference to that goes. So think The Punisher when you watch this movie if you haven't already seen it. And clearly you can tell this movie is directed by a former stuntman because all the stunts in it, the action work, I mean, it is phenomenal.
It is very, very well done. I like the music in it. The music when he starts getting into fights
is
very fast-paced, kind of electronic kind of music, and it's really, really great. Very well done. The choreography in the fight scenes is just awesome because he's not just punching. He's fighting with his fists and using a gun at the same time on the person that he's fighting with his fist. So it's actually a very well choreographed fight movie.
Yeah, and that's where it comes to having an advantage of having a director that was a former stuntman. It just helped this movie out tremendously. I don't think that it would have worked any other way to have who directed it, you know, with his background and experience.
And watch some of these scenes because there's some of these fight scenes, and some of the things that he does to these people that it's just really going to make you cringe. Be like, oh, that had to hurt.
And
oh, that hurt.
I will mention that this is the most grounded one. Like the later sequels, it's like he wouldn't have survived that.
Right.
And
the later sequels get kind of like Superman-ish.
Yeah, it's almost cartoony. Like when we watched the fourth one together, he fell from such a great distance and landed on top of this van. I'm like, no, he would be dead. He would just be absolutely dead.
But remember, this is based on a comic book.
It is.
It's based on a comic book, so he's going to survive these ridiculous situations.
Yeah, well, into
when he wouldn't have in real life.
You have to have some suspension of disbelief, anyways, because this is a movie. You're watching it for enjoyment. You're not going, "Oh, this could happen in real life."
Right, and it is an action movie, so it's an action fight movie. So yeah. It's kind of like Die Hard and the other movies from the 80s and that era, the action flicks. There's no way those people would have survived those situations, and it's the same situation here with John Wick. There's absolutely no way, even in this first one, like he was saying, this is the most grounded one, but there's still no way he would survive these situations.
Especially
in real life.
The amount of people that were shooting at him, the amount of people he killed in this movie. It's like he took out the equivalent of like a small village, and this is just the first movie.
Right, this is the first movie. Yeah, by the time the whole 4 series of movies are done, there's no population left on the earth because he's
killed everybody.
He's just killed everybody. He's the only one left. So, but as far as the movie goes, I enjoyed the movie.
Oh, I
enjoyed it. Yeah. I liked it. It was like we said, very well done. The music fits. The fight choreographies are great. The acting is good. Just suspend your beliefs of and your visions of Keanu Reeves being Bill or Ted, which I can't remember which one he was, but suspend your visions of that and some of the kind of hyped up stuff that he did in The Matrix, and just focus on him in this movie because he does a very good job. You see some really great acting from Keanu Reeves. You actually feel his sadness and his rage his sadness when his wife dies, the devastation of her no longer being there, and then the rage at of the 2 possessions being taken away from him, and the chance to be able to grieve taken from him.
And that's the reason why people get him locked in a box, is they're like, oh, okay, he has basically a short emotional range. No, you get to see that in this film, and it was so nice, and it's refreshing, So get out of the head of like the Bill character or the Neo character. This is a brand new character. And I always say, don't lock somebody into one role. Right. And he brings it in this film.
He really does. He brings it to the table really good. And this is a great movie. I would say that it's well worth your hard-earned cash if you can find it somewhere to stream. Definitely stream it and watch it.
Absolutely.
If you have it on Blu-ray or DVD and we've sparked your interest, hey, grab that Blu-ray or DVD, pop it back in the player and give it another watch. Definitely well worth a repeat watch.
Oh yeah, it's well worth your time. I would say watch it, get it.
Right.
Totally recommend this movie.
Yes, I give this movie a total of, I would say, it's not a perfect movie. There are some things that they could have done better, some scenes that could have been a little bit better, but we won't get into that. I'm going to give this movie 9 popcorns out of 10.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with 8.5. Yeah, the 8.5 sodas out of 10.
That's fair enough. Very good movie to watch. Remember, it's just good. That's our cue to go. Just give it another try. And listen, if you didn't like it when you first watched it, hey, watch it again. Maybe you'll have a new perspective on it. Sometimes that happens too. Later on, you watch a movie and you're like, why didn't I like this before?
Yep. Give it another go. Yep.
All right. So we're going to see you next time.
Yep. Remember to like, share, subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell for the notifications for when our next video drops. Leave a comment if you've got a suggestion for a future video.
Right.
Please.
And if you have comments on John Wick or anything else that we've reviewed, hey, go to our channel page and hit us up. We'll respond.
Yep. And as always, we watch these things so you don't have to.
Right. Sometimes. All right. Listen, we love you guys. Thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you for being with us. Go and watch a movie and enjoy your movie. We'll see you next time.
Yep.